All right. All right. I am so excited about this week's episode because I have with me the amazing Tanner and Alisa, who have completed this year's No Yell November challenge and made one of the coolest videos ever. And I know sometimes when something's not your talent, it seems especially really cool, but I think they did a really high quality job on their experience with this No Yell November challenge. So I wanted them to come on and talk about the experience, what they thought about it, their wins, their lows, all those things. But why don't we start with you guys just introducing yourself?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for liking our video. um, so I'm Alisa, my husband Tanner. Um, we are from Colorado and we sold our house 2 years ago. Just up and sold our house and decided we wanted to move around the country in an RV with our kids. And I was already homeschooling and he was working remote. So we thought, why not just take our kids on some adventures and let them learn as we are traveling.
Yeah, just COVID happened to work out in our favor.
Yes.
One of the few blessings.
Yeah. No, it's so fun. And I think we could actually do a full episode of interviewing about the RV lifestyle, but maybe we'll have to save that for another time. And maybe you can see more of that on your YouTube channel. But I was so intrigued by this video and your experience with it. So kind of talk to me a little bit about why you wanted to document your experience with No Yell November.
So I guess I'll jump in on the mastermind behind the channel itself, because that's my hobby, project, love, whatever. So the whole channel itself is about challenges and taking and doing real challenges, meaningful challenges as individual and as family. And so this one just yelled out like, okay, this is one to document, kind of thing. So that's why I wanted to document it for that piece of it. But then there's a second piece of it is 2 years ago, shortly after we moved into the RV and whatnot, my daughter, my youngest, turned 5, and she turned 5 and something clicked in me. It was just shook me like, hey, you're not where you want to be as a parent, as a husband. You want to be better and you're not. It's time to step it up. And so that's when I really started the channel as a result from that kind of internal dialogue that happened there. And so I've just slowly been working on just improving myself and helping the family, trying to become a better husband, but a better father as well. So that's kind of what kicked it off. And then when this challenge came along, I thought about, I've tried not to yell in the past, but then it's never really worked. As you can see in the video, it's the same thing. I tell the backstory, but having an accountability partner is really what sealed it for me. And then also documenting it. It's really interesting. I know I'm kind of ranting here, but documenting it, like filming the whole process, kept the commitment that I had made to myself of not yelling in the forefront of my mind. Right? Like because I'm pulling out the camera every day, it's on top of mind. Okay, I better not be yelling today, or I gotta excuse myself or come up with a good excuse. So so I kind of ranted there for a moment,
but side note, I thought he was a pretty awesome husband before, but
no, that's interesting. So what was like your parenting style? So a couple years ago, right, when you were like, I'm a little bit off, maybe I'm off the trajectory of what I'm wanting to create with my kids. What do you think was like, how did you kind of get off onto that trajectory?
I'll let you go first because you're just kind of from the story in the video. But
I mean, when I feel like when my kids are small, maybe this is kind of how it goes for a lot of mothers, it was just I wasn't stressed out about their fits and just different things that they would do. And so I didn't I don't know, I just enjoyed a lot of the moments, and so it wasn't as upsetting for me. But as I don't know if it was just worrying about what other people thought of me as I started seeing other parents and how they were parenting, and or just like how busy I was getting, because just the more I had to do, the more stressed I was, and I was probably just taking on too much. And I started to direct it towards my kids, my stress. So I just didn't like how that was turning out.
Yeah. And I think so many parents do, and myself included, right? I grew up in a home of yelling, promise I would never repeat that. And then I have 1,000 kids in a very short amount of time. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the only way to get anything done. Right.
Yeah,
And so I know
totally.
for myself, I didn't like it and I didn't like the way I felt, but at the time, and maybe because there wasn't a lot of internet or like that makes me sound like I'm so ancient, but like social media, all those things didn't really exist, right? When my oldest were younger. And so I hope to be able to help more people like yourselves who are like, I don't like that trajectory, but what do I do instead? Just let my kids run
Yeah,
wild, right? So
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that, and it's it does come to that for me of the control piece of
Mhm.
it's the fastest way to get results.
Right.
Fast is the fastest way, and I never thought of myself as a mean dad, bad, really bad, abusive father or anything like that. But I would just, whenever I would yell, I'd have that remorse, that feeling of like, I never walked away after having yelled thinking, oh yeah, I got this. I am so awesome. No, I got what I wanted, right? I got what I wanted out of the transaction. That sounds
Mhm.
terrible. There was
But it's
nothing.
so true. I think that's how all parents feels like I want this and I want it now. And I know I can get this instant result if I just yell at you. But I think I agree with you 100% that I don't know that anybody leaves a situation from that. Like in your face, kid, like I pranked you. I got you to do what I wanted. Right. Like nobody leaves. Like if you are
Yeah.
having a bad day and you eat a big piece of cake or something, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like wasn't the end of the world. I ate one big piece of cake, but I don't think anybody leaves from yelling at their kids feeling better.
Yeah.
Right.
So did you guys ever notice too, like the compounding? So what I've seen a lot of times is after somebody yells, then they go into a guilt cycle. And so then they overcompensate and like, fine, we don't have to have rules or as many boundaries because I feel really bad about that. And then it just makes their behavior
Mhm.
worse. Did you guys ever notice yourselves getting stuck in cycles like that?
I never had that
Question.
of like just trying to overcompensate to make sure they felt really good or anything like that.
I feel like you're probably better at balancing that out. Sometimes I could see myself as worrying, maybe.
Oh, for sure, still worried. Yeah, but I don't think you really like overcompensate or anything like that.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
still have like we still have rules with the kids, and just okay, we also there are consequences, natural consequences in life, right? And there are also or we have consequences in place for the rules, right? So it's not like we're being overly strict. We're just trying to adhere to the rules. But when we yell at them, it's like we kind of punish ourselves, or
Yeah.
I do. I kind of punish myself versus.
Well, because then I have it's that broken connection and I'm wanting that connection with them. And then I broke it. And so, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think maybe for us, it's been a little bit easier because I feel like there are more things coming out nowadays and tools to help parents, and having somebody who is who is there to help and give us tools, that's been really great.
For sure.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting when I was watching your video of your different triggers, right?
Mm.
Because I don't ever get to see other people's triggers. I may hear about them. And then, but unless somebody's doing a coaching session with me, I just start giving what some of mine were or some I've heard. But it was really interesting to watch your triggers, right? So talk about what some of your triggers were, just for everybody to hear them.
I'll, yeah, I'll say. I mean, there's some humor in that. They're on the whole like Star Wars episodes 7 through 9.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting is that your trigger, at least the one that you shared in one of your coaching calls about, you go. I think you said you go on a date. The house is like spotless, then you come back and you're like, what just happened? Where'd the bomb go off? Who set it off? It's kind of frustrating. And then, yeah,
That's so
exactly.
you.
Yeah, I'm just like, why can't we keep this clean? Why? So that's a trigger for me, is just after that all the time and effort has gone into cleaning something, not maintaining it is triggering.
And I add to that because I'm the one that's like, oh, children, let's make this fairy castle on top of the counter with all these rocks, and like, sounds
Sand.
fun. So
Yeah. What about bedtime for you guys?
I think bedtime.
Take a deep breath. Turn off the camera.
Yeah, no.
I think for you, bedtime is hard because he's really good at structure and wanting to like a routine, getting to bed on a certain time, which I am learning to get better at. But so yeah, bedtime is hard because if they don't go to bed, I should be letting you take this one, but if they don't stop talking, then he can't go to sleep, and then his next morning is all kind of thrown off.
I'll jump in now. They just want to keep talking, and I just like, no, it's bedtime. It's bedtime, you know. And maybe it's because we have girls. Yeah, maybe it's just that the girls, they just love
This
chatting. I don't know anything different because I don't have boys, but so they're all girls. So I'm just gonna say all girls like to talk because that's all.
I am guilty of that.
Yeah,
it's hard because I don't mind. I love talking with them. I love like tucking them in, but when it comes to the fifth tuck in, I'm like,
that's true.
this should be done.
We've said goodnight like 10 times, and then I'll walk out to the kitchen for something to put something away, and one of my daughters is still like, "Good night, I love you."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Hey, you're just, I love you, but please don't say it anymore."
So I'm working on that.
Normal or
Yeah. Well,
so what did you do during the challenge then to not yell?
Yeah, the stop watering the weeds and watering the flowers was a big thing for me. Kind of a click, and I've been working on that. It's good to just take a moment. Okay, they love me. That's why they want to talk to me. They love being around us. I should be grateful for that. Why am I getting upset with that? Okay, so there's got to be a different way to address that. Well, first off, thank you for loving me. That's awesome. And then just recognizing the things that they've done well, and then it is bedtime, and kind of just walk away. No more, like, I won't communicate with them anymore. Just letting them know, setting that expectation. I'm not going to be talking with you anymore. I'll see you in the morning, kind of thing. So really, for that struggle, it was the watering the weeds thing, watering the flowers. It kind of changed my mindset.
It was interesting. And I had somebody, so I have the like no yelling parent support group, right? The Facebook group. And I'd asked about how's the month going. And somebody's like, I picked a bad month because it's so stressful. And I said, like, it's almost like enlighten me which month is not. And whether or not, like, I get it, there was Thanksgiving and whatnot, but you guys had somebody break their arm, right? Like you guys ended up in the ER.
Dramatic. It was a scary break.
Oh man.
She's still in a cast.
Is she really? The poor thing.
Yeah, I know.
But like you had a kid running like out into the road, you had arm break, your 8-hour driving day turned into 11-hour driving day.
Can I tell you a little bit more about that? So you get some background behind the scenes stuff. So all right, so you talk about, so it starts with the 8-hour driving day, right? Okay, and then the next day, that was still good, right? Because we had gotten in all our steps and everything. And went to bed on time the night before, but then the next night, as a result of getting there late and driving for 12 hours, got to bed late. So the next day, I had some problems with my coworkers, right? And I wasn't yelling at them, but anything. But I decided I need to make a change. The following day, I was like, this feels good. The day's good. I'm feeling great. This is so nice. And we were actually, the girls went out to the park to play. And we were about to go on a walk as a couple, and we're like, things so nice,
good.
And then boom, everything swishes.
Really ran in and just bawling.
Yeah, and so you're just not prepared for it, and you're like, wait, what's happening? What's really going on? And so it's just it was a shocker, and things. I wouldn't say we were on edge or anything, so that was good. It wasn't like we had to shout at anybody, stop or anything like that, and get upset or anything.
It's more like we were so exhausted by that point of just mentally exhausted with everything happening.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd say?
Yeah.
But I just love like looking into your lives, because if you gave me the Reader's Digest version and you were just talking to me like, there were some hard days, like some travel days took longer, but then to watch the travel day take longer, to watch a kid like in the ER, then you're experiencing it versus like, my kid broke their arm. It's like, kids totally break arms, but to experience it with you, I think it was a beautiful way to see, like, there's never a perfectly peaceful month. I picked No Yell November because it was catchy.
Yeah. Yeah,
No other
I'll
reason,
definitely know
but
because
like there's never a good time to start, in my own opinion. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
Well, that's exactly how I felt about it. And I mean, I feel that's our life. I mean, for the last 2 years, because we've been on the road and it's been wonderful and amazing. And it's been just so busy. Because you imagine going on a trip that you've planned and leaving your house and packing and then going there and then coming back and getting to rest, But we've been just go, 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 go. And so we can't afford to just not do things, not improve ourselves or not work on things we want to work on just because it's the wrong time, because we'll never get anything done.
yeah, I'll actually piggyback onto that is one of my habits is writing in a journal. So I don't know, maybe we'll talk about that later, but that was the easiest habit for me because I already write in my journal. The first 6 months of this lifestyle, I didn't write in it, or I wrote in it sporadically because things were so different. And I'm like, I'm not going to my desk anymore to sit. What do I do? Where's
Right.
pipe the smoke and the fire? But, I didn't have my normal routine. And so it was hard. And so she's right. Like you just have to change that mindset and say, okay, well, this is the life. If I want to improve, I need to start thinking about it and setting myself up for success.
It's more like we don't have time not to do this because our kids are growing up so fast. So
Yeah, that's what hit me right with Hazel being 5 years old.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and especially because your oldest girls aren't teenagers yet, right?
Right. They're getting close.
Yes. And so I just think that it's so neat when you really build that connection before those teenage years hit. Right. Because I get it. Like when your girls are like, Mommy, Daddy, I love you. Good night. Right. Like it feels annoying when they're young, but then in their teens and all of a sudden it's like, hey, like, remember me? I was pretty cool once. And so when we keep that connection instead of always pushing them away, when they hit the teenage years, they still say, Mom and Dad, good night. I love you. And they still giggle and stay up too late and talk.
And that's what I want, right? That's what I want when Hazel turned 5 and then the older girls they turned 11. It woke me up.
Yeah. So part of the challenge, I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but part of the challenge was taking care of your fundamental needs so that you aren't running on empty. So like you were saying with journal writing, how you quit journal writing because you were out of the habit, then sometimes we get off because we're not like getting our thoughts out, right? So it was walking, eating a couple servings of fruits or veggies. I'm trying to think, journaling or meditating. Can't remember the list off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What was that one? Oh, track your sleep. So how did you guys feel like that aided, or did that just make it more difficult?
Oh,
I have a different opinion from her. Go for it.
Okay. I actually think it really helped me. Though I think that I didn't realize the areas where I wasn't taking as good a care of myself, and I didn't know that it was going to have such an impact on how I was able to show up. Because I thought I was doing pretty well. I mean, the vegetable part wasn't hard for me. The walking wasn't too bad. But like the sleeping and the drinking enough water, I would have never imagined just how much better I would have felt, around my girls.
Yeah. I guess I won't say like I have a different opinion. It's more like a realization that, wow, as soon as I start tracking this, I realize I'm a cactus. I just sit sedentary and I don't drink water, nearly as much as I should be. So like, wow, just kind of a light bulb there. I guess what I didn't like is I didn't do a good job of scheduling out or making a routine of when to walk, and so it ended up compressed at the very end. Like I went out on walks at night
or drinking all the water at night.
Yeah.
He would be up all night.
Yeah, so that's why I disliked it, but I do think that they were good things, right? They're definitely good. I was normally getting 2,000 steps a day, and so I couldn't believe that. And yeah, so it definitely did benefit me and help me. And so it was a love-hate relationship.
I get that.
Yeah, because it was my fault that I wasn't doing it right.
Yeah. So what changes did you see? Because you guys were able to complete the whole month, right?
Mhm.
So what changes did you see within your family by completing it?
So you want me to
Go
go?
for it.
Okay. So one thing that I love that our girls, like, we kind of talked to them about what we were going to do. And so they were, of course, very supportive of the idea and excited. Um, and I just love that as we were going through it, like, it just felt like we were united about it. I don't know. It just felt like we had this common goal we were all working on. And so it was fun because um like, even with the fundamentals, while I was doing my fundamentals, I'd get my 6-year-old now just walking behind me. If I had to be inside and I'd walk around our trailer, she would just follow me, and then the dog would start following me, and it was just everybody like marching, and it became this fun thing. And it kind of brought about discussions of how to take better care of ourselves, and to be working on fundamentals and how it affects the way you show up. And there were also times where, I'd be sitting with one of my twins and we'd hear like the other one and my 6-year-old just start fighting, and we had this moment of just looking at each other like, oh, and then we just burst out laughing because we thought it was silly. It just brought up, I guess, like these lighter moments. And then I would say we also just, I feel like we were just happier, like a little bit more at ease, not on edge.
Yeah, I'd say the intention didn't disappear, right? That was one of
Right.
the things that I discussed in the video, how like that was a kind of subconscious expectation. The contention didn't disappear, but it didn't last as long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was
That's a good
a
point.
big difference, right? So because contention's never going to disappear, right? Or at least I don't think it's going to in my
Yeah.
lifetime. But if you can shorten it, the duration there, then you can tolerate it, right? Just like the shorter it is, the easier it is to tolerate, because it's going to go by much faster. You're like, oh, okay, I can handle this for 20 seconds.
And if you can give each other grace, more, like understanding, and just understand that you're both working, you're all working on it. And I feel like that is something that it did for our girls, is they understood, hey, this is okay, it's not the end of the world, because
Hmm.
we're all still working for this. um if yeah, they had any bickering.
Yeah, that's so interesting with just some of those changes. Did you notice like any parenting stuff where anything got easier, or what did it get harder first? Because you're like, what do I do?
How are you smiling?
Oh, well, so I'm just thinking about something that I learned through this, that was really cool. Is I was talking to Tanner about this, is before the challenge, when things were not going the way I wanted, right? Um, I I often would find myself feeling so on edge, and wanting to control the situation, in order to prevent myself from feeling on edge, if you will. Like, in order to prevent myself from feeling yucky or frustrated, I wanted to like nip things in the bud, stop the behavior, and that would usually escalate until I was just really upset. And through this challenge, what I noticed is, so I was expecting that if I did that, if I was able to get them to act a certain way and yell or whatever to get them to stop, that I wouldn't feel as stressed and worn out by the end of the day. And instead, what I recognized through this challenge is I felt so much less exhausted by the end of the day without having to yell. It was crazy. And it's not like my circumstance changed. My circumstance changed. There was still chaos, but just inside, I just felt so much better.
Well, I'll say I feel like I noticed, I guess in myself, I guess it's not to the question about the family, but I noticed an increase in patience. I mean, I don't know if they feel that way, but I feel like I had an increase in patience because I couldn't, I was forced not to control direct. Okay, I'm not strangling. That's a bad like. Couldn't control the situation how I had in the past, and so I had to be a little more patient
Yeah.
and soft spoken. And so maybe that's actually going back to how, that's why maybe the contention didn't last as long, because I didn't make it escalate. I didn't, and that's probably why, because I didn't escalate it.
I definitely noticed that in you too. I felt like he was more patient.
Okay.
Well,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I love that.
So I'm curious if you asked your girls what they thought about the experience.
Ooh, did
I
we
don't
ask
think
them
I don't
about
think we've
it?
asked them.
Well, yeah, I don't think we've point blank asked them. I know I've like heard side opinions from them of just really liking it, and they wanted to know if, you know, we were going to continue with it.
Yeah.
And
You're going to start yelling at me again.
Yeah. Lower that voice, Dad. I know the rules.
Yeah. So have you
Well,
guys been able to keep like not yelling since the challenge has ended?
I have it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, today I had a little, it was kind of one of those where you catch yourself as you're going into it
Yeah.
and stopped. Like everybody looked at me and I was like,
Oh, that
I
was
still
funny.
got to work on this.
That was fun. It's like everyone, all eyes were on Mom.
What is she going to do?
And I was just like, I still got to work on this. But so yeah, I would say I think the desire to yell is a lot lower. Like I don't have the desire nearly as often. I feel like that's been really cool.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna keep going with it. One of the questions in the forums for anyone who ever watches this, or everybody that's watching or listening to this, make sure you fill out that form if you took the challenge. Meg didn't pay me to say that. The last question is this question here that was on there, and I realized, yeah, I'm going to continue with it, but I'm going to take it to the next level because you've mentioned it several times in your coaching calls about if it's not yelling that you're trying to break the habit of, you know, maybe it's snide remarks or being, you know, uh, cynical or critical of
Right.
others. I think for you mentioned like critical is what kind of what
That's
you're.
my go-to.
So that's something I want to work on as well. That's the critical one. So yeah, it's not just this is not the status quo. I want to up the game. I want to improve myself even more. So
Yeah. And I love the you guys are creating a generation of non-yellers. Like, isn't that so powerful? I don't know. For me, that gets me so excited that like, here's this beautiful family who have now become non-yeller families. So if you want to, like, if you're really great at graphic design, I think the next t-shirt will have to be, I'm a cycle breaker. Because like, that's what this is, because your girls are like, when they have their own families, it's like, oh, I know how to deal with this without yelling. And
Yeah.
to me, that's so powerful that like, I love what you two are creating, but even beyond that, the families they'll create will take on those same skills that you guys have. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see some changes with the girls as well. Like I don't, you know, it's going to take time to permeate through. Like 1 month isn't enough to completely change.
Right.
But I think I'm expecting that there will be some changes.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So next year I'm doing it a 9-month course, right? Because I said it takes 9 months to grow a human. So why not give us 9 months to become the next better version of ourselves? And so I'm really excited about that because I love, like, that's what I love to help people do, Alisa. Like you were saying, like, to not even have a desire to yell. So not like gritting my teeth and like bunkering down and clenching my fist, like, fine, I'm just going to go punch a hole in the wall. Like if I can't yell at you, but like to just finally get to that place where it's like the desire is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It doesn't feel good anymore at all.
Right?
It doesn't make sense anymore. It used to, this makes no sense, you know?
Well, and like with the habit, right? The what is it? The neural pathway is just kind of the weeds are growing over it, so it's not as easy for it to happen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to tell everybody about your YouTube video and where they can go and watch it. Cause I thought it was really fun. And it was actually like my girls were with me when you sent it to me and watched it with me. And it was actually really cool to have my girls see like that their mom is doing something that helps other people, that helps other, like this creating this domino effect. And it was like, what? Like, Mom, this was awesome. So like it blew their mind, your whole video. So tell everybody where they can go and watch it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. First off, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I haven't talked to anybody like this about any of my channel videos because it's new. So the channel name is The Terrible Husband. Hopefully it's an oxymoron, but
I didn't help him pick that.
maybe yeah. I mean that's not an oxymoron, but whatever. The channel's name is The Terrible Husband, and the video is called I Tried Not Yelling at My Kids for 30 Days or something like that. I can't even remember the name of the title.
Yeah. It has a picture with them with duct tape that says like no yelling, right?
Exactly. So yeah, that's how you can find it. Just go to Google or go to Google, probably go to YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm stumbling over my words now that I'm self-promoting
It's
here.
late at night. It's fine.
So just go to YouTube, just type in The Terrible Husband, and you should be able to find it pretty fast.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. And thank you for being willing to share the raw experience of what it actually looked like the day to day and wanting to yell and still choosing not to. It was really powerful. So thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
For creating the challenge
Yeah.
in the first place.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.